Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unlocking something truly magical, but also incredibly dark. We are going to explore exactly how you can craft an absolutely unforgettable narrative by taking the ancient, timeless rules of myth and slamming them headfirst into a gripping, high-stakes psychological thriller. We're talking about mapping the classic hero's journey directly onto a meticulously designed case study of betrayal, total downfall, and a very literal technological rebirth. So, let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever sat there, staring at a blank screen, wanting to create a character your audience will literally follow anywhere? Well, here is a secret. You don't actually need every single detail of your world figured out on day one. You really just need a protagonist worth rooting for and a problem that's absolutely terrifying to solve. Today, we're treating the creative process itself as a mythical quest. That blank page, that's your threshold. And we are about to cross it by breaking down a character whose perfectly ordinary life is violently shattered, forcing him into a ruthless, entirely new existence. Now, this quote perfectly sets the intense thriller tone we are going for today. It belongs to the story of Arthur, a man who experiences the ultimate betrayal. His story brilliantly merges the mechanics of a compelling plot with the heavy, dark theme of systemic retribution. You see, this isn't just about some action hero punching his way to revenge. It is about the cold, methodical, mathematical mechanics of justice being exacted upon people who genuinely thought they got away with murder. But before we break down Arthur's demise, we need to look at the blueprint. As we already know, Joseph Campbell's Monomyth provides the absolute structural DNA for great storytelling. It's that classic template, right? A hero departs their ordinary world, descends into a gauntlet of incredibly tough trials, and eventually returns fundamentally transformed. But what happens when we take that classic framework and map it onto a ruthless modern thriller? Well, it turns out it provides the absolute perfect pacing for a devastating psychological descent. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer, devastating contrast at the core of this story. Pre-reincarnation, our guy Arthur is this empathetic, trusting visionary. He thinks he's living a wonderful life. But lurking right beneath that surface are the lethal motives of his closest allies. Clara, his outwardly devoted partner, is masking deep, calculating greed. She's actively fabricating alibis alongside Marcus, a charismatic corporate rival who just wants total power consolidation. The dramatic irony is completely gut-wrenching. Arthur's tragedy isn't just his physical death. It's the horrific realization that his entire reality, everything he built on trust, was just a carefully engineered trap to extract his life's work. And that realization brings us to our first major phase, the 72-hour descent, the countdown to betrayal. This opens brilliantly in media res, giving us a masterclass in tension. Day by day, an inescapable trap is closing in on Arthur. We're mapping out the tense chronology of his demise here, spanning just 3 days. 3 days for an ordinary, warm life to be totally eclipsed by total darkness. And because we know where it's going, every single ordinary interaction Arthur has during this countdown carries a lethal subtext. So, let's break it down. Day -3, the fracturing illusion. Arthur starts noticing these undeniable ripples of anomaly, a weird, unexplained digital communication here, a sudden flash of coldness from Clara there. But, and this is the tragic part, driven by years of emotional investment, he just rationalizes these red flags away. He is naively pouring his heart into planning an elaborate anniversary celebration, totally oblivious to the fact that Clara and Marcus are using his distraction to finalize the legal transfer of his assets. Yet, even now, his subconscious is faintly registering these systemic anomalies, laying the groundwork for the system that will eventually save him. Then we hit day -2, the crucible of truth. Arthur stumbles upon a misplaced tablet and uncovers a synchronized cloud archive detailing his own impending liquidation. I mean, the psychological shock is paralyzing. But this right here, this is where Arthur crosses his very first emotional threshold. Instead of a messy, fatal confrontation, he undergoes a profound internal metamorphosis. His grief literally hardens into cold resolve. He quietly secures offline backups, establishes encrypted dead man switches, and begins actively aligning his dying willpower with a dormant metaphysical architecture. Which brings us to the eerie stillness of day -1. Clara lures him to an isolated lakeside estate. Marcus finally emerges from hiding. They slip a slow-acting neurotoxin into Arthur's wine, which completely paralyzes his motor functions but keeps his mind terrifyingly, perfectly sharp. Clara and Marcus literally mock his gullibility right to his face as they outline their grand future together. And in that final moment, full of supreme agony and unyielding hatred, Arthur's consciousness seals shut. And this brilliantly illustrates how we adapt myth for a modern thriller. You know Campbell's Belly of the Whale? That moment where a hero is swallowed into the unknown, facing total annihilation? That maps flawlessly onto Arthur's literal execution. He is swallowed by death, experiencing 100% synchronization with that metaphysical system we mentioned, only to be reborn to fight another day. And that rebirth leads us directly into our next phase, the supernatural aid, awakening the system. In ancient myths, heroes always get a magic sword or a wise wizard guide, right? Well, meet Arthur's modern, interactive supernatural aid, the system of Retribution. Upon reincarnation, Arthur is equipped with this autonomous meta-intelligence. It represents a massive visual transition from the dark, grim, organic reality of his murder into a stark, tactical, and highly digital awakening. This system is designed to govern justice. It ensures that Arthur's revenge isn't just handed to him on a silver platter. It absolutely must be earned through strategy, intellect, and relentless execution. Let's see how this actually builds. The system operates on strict parameters, forcing Arthur into a highly structured mission of revenge. Step 1 is intel acquisition protocols. Arthur has to execute daily reconnaissance missions to uncover Clara and Marcus's hidden financial fraud. Step 2 introduces survival trials, giving him defensive upgrades when he encounters physical or legal threats. And Step 3 introduces a highly specific economy that dictates exactly how he gets to strike back. So what does he do with this economy? Well, by systematically dismantling his betrayers, Arthur earns retribution points. He can spend these points to meticulously tear down Clara and Marcus's social standing, completely obliterate their financial security, or acquire cognitive enhancements and new psychological manipulation tactics. It's incredible because this mechanic elevates your standard run-of-the-mill revenge trope into a sophisticated study of calculated resilience. He isn't just lashing out, he is methodically extracting justice, point by point. So, we've crossed the threshold together today. We've seen how Campbell's ancient monomyth flawlessly supports the intensely modern 72-hour countdown of a psychological thriller. By understanding these deep storytelling structures, you gain the freedom to craft incredibly resonant, meticulously paced stories that hook the viewer, from that very first shattered illusion all the way to the final retributive strike. You now have the timeless structure of myth and the ruthless mechanics of the modern thriller in your toolbox. The ledger is open, and that blank page is waiting for you. So, who will your protagonists betray, and how will you make them earn their retribution? Keep creating, and I'll see you in the next explainer.